Now that you have your PAX unit home, it's time for installation. But first, we want to cover a few items to help you prepare. Time to unpack your unit, carefully inspecting everything as you go. Most of the IKEA items that we've encountered are very well packed, so in most cases, damage should not be an issue. It's a good idea to spread everything out to get a visual of all of the items. Try not to walk or step on items, as damage may occur. Be sure to check your parts list and make a note of any missing items. This unit has approximately 115 parts or fasteners in addition to the unit components. We've rarely seen a part missing when assembling IKEA units, and in some cases we've encountered an extra part or two. Should you note that something is missing, you can either phone IKEA to see what options you may have, or if you live near an IKEA, you can visit their customer service area where they have a spare parts kiosk where you can find most parts required to assemble IKEA components. Should the missing part not be in the kiosk, simply ask a store associate and they will likely be able to get it for you. We really like this option, and there's usually no charge for these replacement parts. Minimal tools are required, and in some cases a power screwdriver comes in handy, but be careful not to strip the holes when driving in fasteners. The items we needed were a tape measure, pencil, hammer, clamp, level, Phillips and slotted screwdrivers. A drill may also be required if fastening several units together. You will also need additional fasteners to attach the unit to the wall to prevent tip over, which we recommend for safety reasons. We also recommend working either on the cardboard the unit is packed in, or a shipping blanket or quilt to prevent damage to floors and the unit itself. It's also a good idea to have two people when assembling the unit, as many of the items are large and bulky. Very important, make sure to measure where the unit is being installed to make sure that it will either fit through the door or the opening, depending on your installation, and to make sure that you are able to stand the unit upright once assembled. Depending on clearance and the height of the unit you've purchased, you may have to assemble it inside the closet and stand it up, or assemble it in the upright position, which is a bit more complicated but not impossible. Step 1. This step involves installing the suspension fitting set or bracket that can be used to affix the assembled unit to the wall to prevent tipping. Each unit comes with 2 brackets, 2 clips, 2 caps, and 4 Euro countersunk screws for this step. The wall anchors and fasteners to affix the unit to the wall are not supplied, so you'll need to purchase those separately. We do not show this step in this video due to the fact that we're attaching multiple units together and will utilize a different method. We do recommend securing the units to the wall with the method provided or an appropriate alternative method to prevent them from tipping. This concludes this step. These steps involve installing the 12 assembly dowels with the threads for the wood in the side panels of the unit. For these steps, we place the side panels opposite each other on the floor. You'll need a Phillips head screwdriver for this step. It's important to note before starting which is the top, bottom, front, and back of these panels, and install the fasteners in the appropriate locations on both panels. In this photo, you'll see that we're showing fasteners 1 through 6 are where the top of our unit will be, and fasteners 3 and 4 are the front of the unit. Fasteners 1 and 6 will be the back of the unit. In this photo, we're showing you what will become the bottom of the unit. For this location, We've counted up 3 holes from the edge of the unit to install the fasteners. You'll use fasteners 7 through 12 for this. In this case, fasteners 9 and 10 are at the front of the unit. Fasteners 7 and 12 will be near the back of the unit. This concludes steps 2, 3, and 4. Okay, we've made it to step 5. For this step, you'll need a hammer and 8 of the wooden dowels provided. There will be 8 more of these that you'll use later, so keep them handy. You will simply be inserting the wooden dowels in the ends of the top and bottom panels of the unit. Just position in each of the holes noted and gently tap them in until seated. So once you're through inserting the 8 dowels, this completes step 5. So for step number 6, we'll be installing 2 nut T-fasteners in the bottom of one of the units, and I'm showing you those here. And those are the panels that we put the wooden dowels in previously. Once these are installed, they will be where the pins or the feet or the leg holders will screw into, and we'll show you that in step 7. So here's how.
Tell me, are you rolling?
We actually did this 2 different ways. Here's how I did it the first way, and we did it 2 different ways because we did this project in stages. So we did like 3 of the units and then 2 more of the units at a later date. And what I'm showing you here is I used a socket as the driver to hammer these into these panels. And here's the other side that I'm showing you. And I actually had these on a piece of the cardboard packing material out on a hard surface like my patio to drive these in. And what we didn't like about this method is after we had the units installed, we noticed these cracks. And these cracks were there before we even leveled the unit, so there was no pressure on the unit. So for the next units, we tried this method of using a clamp to install these units and found that it seemed to work better. And these are just some stills of that, but here's the actual video of me installing the fasteners using a clamp, and I'm just compressing them in to the unit with the clamp itself. So I'm not applying excessive force with the hammer, and we think that's probably what caused these cracks in those units the first time. So I recommend doing it this way. We were happy with the results, and here are the results of the 2 cabinets that we did last, and it's already been several months and we're not seeing any cracks or problems with those units even after the leveling legs were screwed down. This completes step 6. Steps 7 and 8. These steps are simply assembling the pin screw and the foot together, which involves snapping the foot onto the pin and then screwing it into the T-nuts we just installed. You can install these now or wait until later, which is what we did. We installed them right before standing the units up in our closet. Remember, these are the leveling feet, and you use them to level the units if it's needed.
Sure.
Screwing them in, you'll want to make sure they're not extended or sticking out below the bottom of the unit, as you really don't want the entire weight of the unit resting on these at first. So here's our unit with those leveling feet installed right before we're going to stand it up. If you're doing the steps now, steps 7 and 8 are complete. Step 9. If you're following the book, step 9 is where you install the remaining 8 wooden dowels in the front and back kick panels that are at the base of the unit. Here we're showing you how to just simply tap those in with a hammer.
They may think they come together.
What do you mean? You can do this step now or right before installing the kick panels, which is in step 14. If doing this now, step 9 is complete. In this segment, we'll cover steps 10 through 13. Step 10 is very important. This is where you need to make sure, before continuing with assembly of the unit, that it will fit through the opening or door of the closet. In our case, the units had to be assembled inside our closet and then stood up. In some cases, as we mentioned earlier, the unit may need to be assembled in the upright position due to clearance.
Okay.
Steps 11 and 12 are installing the top and bottom unit on one of the side panels. To do this, simply line up the wooden dowels inserted earlier with the holes in the side panel and slide them on. This is showing what the bottom of the unit would be once it's assembled, where this panel is actually going to be installed. Making sure that you position these in the correct direction, because even the top and the bottom panels have a back and a front. So you want to make sure you have those in the right position before sliding them down onto the pins.
Pretty good to me.
Just like this. Okay, moving on to step 13. Step 13 is installing 6 of the eccentric case or cam nut lock screws, is what I like to call them. These lock together the joint by engaging the assembly dowels with the threads that we installed earlier with the cam nut that we're showing you here.
When you get, okay, show me again. All right.
You simply want to insert these in the holes, as we're showing you here, and then tighten them with a screwdriver. And you can either use a Phillips or a slotted screwdriver to do this step with.
Is here.
And here again, we're just showing you one of the pins and what the cam nut itself looks like. Once you have it in the hole where the pin is, you just simply want to make sure that it engages and then turn it to the right or turn it clockwise. And it will engage that pin, and then that's what will secure it together. This completes steps 10 through 13. Step 14. Step 14 is installing the 2 kick panels that we prepared in step 9. Again, we waited to install the wooden dowels in the kick panels until now, but either way works. Make sure you note where the front and rear of your unit is and position the correct kick panel in the appropriate location. The rear kick panel has no finish, and the front has white finish. Make sure you align the wooden dowels of the front kick panel in the outermost holes on the front edge of the unit. The panels just slide into place and will be secured during step 15. This completes step 14, and we're almost finished. Steps 15, 16, and 17. These steps involve installing the other side panel and securing it into position. Noting which is the top and bottom of the panel and the unit, lift the side panel into position, making sure everything lines up. The panel should slide into place on the wooden dowels if you have everything lined up correctly.
That, we're going to put it on this side.
Right. This step is one of many in the project where a helper really comes in handy. And you'll see why here in a second.
Wrong thing.
Still rolling?
Yeah.
May have to stop and help me.
Yeah.
Once you have everything in place and you're happy that everything's lined up, it's time to install the remaining cam nut lock screws. And we're showing you those again here.
They don't click or anything?
No. The point of being down in there is
So once you have all 6 of those installed, step 17 involves positioning the unit on its face so the back panel can be installed. This completes steps 15 through 17. Steps 18 through 24. It's time to finally install the back panel of the unit. So again, at this point, the unit needs to be positioned on its face. The back panel comes folded in half, and this makes it easy to position it in place. Place it over the back of the unit and open it up and position it into place, making sure that it lines up and is seated properly all the way around. This again is where a helper could come in handy. Once you have it positioned like you want it, it's time to install the 50 nails. Yeah, that's right, I did say 50. Making sure everything lines up before nailing helps with making sure that the unit will be square when it's finished and you stand it upright. IKEA also includes a nifty little nail holder tool in the kit, which comes in handy not only to hold the nails, but to make sure that you're spacing them correctly from the outside edge of the unit. And I'm showing you that here. So when you're starting out with the nails, you should place one nail in each corner of the back of the unit first, and then evenly space the remaining nails evenly around the unit.
Pull it off.
Spacing doesn't have to be perfect, but just remember that you should use all 50 of the nails that they provided in the kit. One of the things we added before standing the units up was a felt furniture pad in each corner of the bottom of the unit, and I'm showing you some of those here. We did this to help protect the new flooring and to make sure the units would be easier to position into place once we were through, and also because we were installing multiple units in one location. So we had some adjusting and moving back and forth to do, if you will, before we actually made it our final call or said that we were all done with the install. The IKEA book shows 2 different steps for 22. They show both nailing the back on the unit and leveling the unit. We checked our units for level after we had all of them in place together. We'll also show you how to attach multiple units together in another one of our IKEA videos. Step 23 shows attaching the unit to the wall to prevent tipping over, which we also highly recommend. But we did not show you that in this video due to the fact, again, that we were installing multiple units together, and that comes later as part of another step for us. Step 24 is where you install the 4 plastic cover caps they provide. 2 go on the top and 2 go on the bottom of the unit. The 2 on the bottom cover the leveling pins that have the feet on them beneath each of the units. One of the things we wish IKEA would do is either provide some sort of white caps for the cam nuts, which I'm showing you here with a red arrow and a question mark, or provide them in white. It's not a big deal, but I just think it would make the unit look better with all of them somewhat hidden. This completes steps 18 through 24. At this point, you're pretty much done except for installing additional IKEA accessories like clothes rails or drawers. We'll show you those steps in some other of our IKEA videos on our channel.